Dear guests, our program will continue with the opening speeches of our esteemed speakers. I would kindly like to invite our esteemed speakers onto the stage. Talal Abu Ghazaleh, Honorary President of ICP. İsmail Gülle, President of TİM, Turkey, Turkish Exporters Assembly. Dr. Paul Herbert Oquist Kelley, Minister in charge of National Policies, Nicaragua. Mr. Henry Okello-Oryem, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs in charge of International Cooperation, Uganda. Gbehzohngar Milton Findley, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Liberia. Dr. Mohammed Abu-Hammour, Secretary General of the Arab Thought Forum, Jordan. Mr. Rodriguez Zapatero, former Prime Minister of Spain. Mr. Andres Pastrana, former President of Colombia. Mr. Ersin Tatar, Prime Minister of Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. Now I would like to invite the Honorary President of ICP, Talal Abu Ghazaleh, to the lectern for a speech.
Good morning. I don't have a written speech, so I want to address you from heart to heart. Mr. Cengiz Orjan Vizil, I wish to congratulate you on and your ICP family on this 10th anniversary of ICP. You excel over yourself every year, and I'm honored to be the honorary chair for the 10th year. And perhaps it's time to hand over to a new, more dynamic chairman. But I will continue to be committed to this important endeavor. I'm humbled to stand in front of such an august audience of delegates, presidents, leaders, and friends. Your Excellency, Faisal Al-Faiz, the President of the Jordan Senate, I wish to salute you on this occasion. And I also want to recognize my great friend, President of Germany, the previous President of Germany, and His Excellency Christian Wolff. Distinguished delegates, you are all of you are more knowledgeable than me and senior to me. So please consider me as a student presenting his thesis to you, hoping that I will pass the test. My presentation is in 15 points in 15 minutes about a world, an orderless world in turmoil. We live in a world without any order and in turmoil in at least 10 major crises. Number one, this world is taking us from trade liberalization to trade protectionism. So it is inevitable that we will end up with trade wars. We are moving from our world to my country, and every leader now, because of this trend by some major countries, is saying, my country first. Number two, we live in a bankrupt world. Technically, the world is bankrupt. The GDP of the world is 83 trillion. The total debt of the world is 3 times the GDP. Any economist will tell you that if your debt is 3 times your national product, you are bankrupt. That's a good recipe for a war. We are moving from a world under disciplines, including the Bretton Woods agreements, which were forged after World War II, World Bank, IMF, and particularly the World Trade Organization, to make them paralyzed. There is literal paralysis in the World Trade Organization. I can say that because I served on the board of WTO of experts, and the principles of WTO were national treatment, which means every country has to treat the products and services of every other country as national products, equal treatment. There is a struggle between the superpowers over leadership of the innovation world. We live in the 4th industrial revolution, and the future is all about innovation. And the 2 major powers, the US and China, are fighting over rights, intellectual property rights. And in my opinion, this is the most serious dispute between the 2 global powers. And as the president of the largest intellectual property company in the world, I can tell you that this dispute is dynamite. Internet fragmentation. The US, to whom we are all grateful for inventing the internet, refuses to establish any system of governance on the internet. And that causes an indefinite number of problems for the world. But one major volatile issue is the multilingualization of the internet. And China today, who is the user of 20%, 25% of the internet, American internet, has developed its own internet. And we can imagine what fragmentation would happen if we have 2 internets to become international. And this is an expected problem, and I spoke and wrote about it to the leadership of the US Senate, that I am scared about the fragmentation of the internet. The fact that there is no governance on the internet creates all sorts of problems, including the disability to control terrorism, the unfairness in treatment of individuals and governments, because this media has no control over whatever anybody or any state or any institution wants to say. The Americans say that this in a space which is outside this world. It's a virtual world where there are no boundaries and no rulers. And I chaired and established founded the first Internet Governance Forum when I was the chairman of the UN Alliance for ICT for Development, and I called for governance in the internet. Not government, not ownership, just to have some rules to govern the internet. And until now, this forum meets every year, the Internet Governance Forum, but only to discuss issues without any teeth. So ethical standards on the internet are a great danger to the world. The dollar, which was made king in the meetings in Bretton Woods, with Britain giving up the sterling and making the dollar the only reserve and the only currency for evaluation. There are talks now by very important politicians all over the world calling for a new global currency. And that can create the worst havoc and the worst disaster in the financial and economic markets. The fight over oil as a strategic commodity. Actually, this is how it is defined in the US policy, that it is not a commodity, it's not a product, it is a strategic asset. And the fight over it is because of its power more than for its value. Populist movements are not to be disregarded. One country after the other is facing revolutions against democracy. You elect people democratically, and soon you say, we want the fall of this regime, which we have elected. And that is also under the impact of the internet. The internet creators say that the internet is the only area or space where we have full democracy, where a president is equal in his power and in his presence on the internet as any other individual. There is a fight that will soon become very visible between humans and robots, and this is not to be disregarded. There is a research team at Cambridge University called Terminator, trying to develop policies against allowing robots to control the world and us be servants of the robots. That is a real threat, it's not a joke. Climate change in 10 years is estimated to be a great disaster for humanity and for the world, for everything in the world. And the superpowers refuse to sit around the table to really take measures which are easy. If you use artificial intelligence, you can have solutions in no time, but it takes consensus between the global powers of this world. Artificial intelligence will change everything in this world, not just things, machines, computers, us. It will change our capability, and we will end up with two categories of human beings. Those who are inferior because they did not have the chance to benefit from the enabling power of artificial intelligence, and those who are superior race, physically, mentally, and in every way. So one center in the US wrote a research paper on the death of democracy. There is talk about whether democracy can work as it is now. So from democracy to what? Unless we are able as a world community to find solutions, we will run into a world of disasters. So I would like to say that 2020 is a year of a number of crises, not just one. And I claim that these crises will culminate in an economic crisis unheard of before, a state of stagflation, inflation and stagnation at the same time. And as many centers, research centers claim, we will be moving into real military war. And the war is expected to be between the two superpowers, the US and China, Russia. that will end up, the objective of the war is to be able to force the two powers to sit at the table and negotiate a new world order in which the US and China will be the co-leaders of the world, and we will move from a mono-rule world to a dual-rule world. Now, but that's all good news, because after wars and crises, good things come. And we must realize that in every crisis, there is an opportunity. It depends on us how we can make that opportunity. And also we should remember, as de Gaulle used always to remind us, that history and geography determine the future. Think of Europe, where the Marshall Plan came after the destruction and helped the US and Europe to become prosperous, and we started with the Renaissance. So I claim, and this is my closing statement, that after this year of disasters, we will start a new world order. We will start to live under a new world order and a new Renaissance under a new global Marshall Plan-like. I don't claim that I own any truth. I am only a student who studies, summarizes, and makes conclusions. But I stand to be corrected, and thank you for tolerating me.
Thank you, Mr. Ghazaleh. Now I would like to invite the President of Turkish Exporters Assembly, İsmail Gülle, for his speech.
İspanya, Kolombiya ve Kuzey Kıbrıs Türk Cumhuriyeti'nin saygıdeğer başbakanları, Liberia, Nicaragua ve Katar'dan gelen saygıdeğer bakanlar, Sayın UYP Başkanım, ihracat ailemizin ve iş dünyamızın kıymetli temsilcileri, değerli basın mensupları, kıymetli konuklar, sizleri şahsım ve Türkiye İhracatçılar Meclisi adına saygıyla selamlıyorum. Cumhurbaşkanlığımızın himayelerinde gerçekleşen tim olarak 10. yılında da stratejik olmaktan mutluluk duyduğumuz Boğaziçi Zirvesi'ne hepiniz hoş geldiniz. Değerli konuklar, Boğaziçi Zirvesi tüm kültürleri kucaklayan vizyonu ile içerisinde yaşadığımız coğrafyanın geleceği adına büyük bir değer oluşturuyor. Devlet başkanlarından bakanlara, Avrasya, Orta Doğu ve Kuzey Afrika bölgelerinin neredeyse tamamını temsil eden bir üst düzey konuşmacılarımız zirvemize vizyon katarken bölgemizin geleceğine yön veriyor. Bu sene ortaya koyduğumuz tema da değişim, bilhassa insan odaklı değişimi vurguluyor. Zamanın ruhu, dünyanın geleceğini ve insanların beklentilerini tüm boyutlarıyla ele almamızı gerektiriyor. Bu nedenle zirvedeki en temel amacımız yeni dünya düzenine doğru geleceğimizi her boyutuyla tartışıp çözümler ortaya koyabileceğimiz bir ekosistem oluşturmak. Aslında buna mecburuz. Çünkü küresel şartların geldiği nokta artık bizlerin daha fazla dayanışma içerisinde hareket etmesini, başkalarını değil, kendi ajandamızı oluşturmamızın gerekliliğini öne çıkartıyor. Sayın Cumhurbaşkanımız Recep Tayyip Erdoğan'ın Birleşmiş Milletler toplantısında vurgulamış olduğu dünya 5'ten büyüktür sözü de işte tam da bu gerekliliğin altını çiziyor. Değerli konuklar, bilhassa küresel ticarette dijitalleşme ve lojistiğin yeni bir boyuta geçtiği dönemi yaşıyoruz. Çin'in başlatmış olduğu Kuşak Yol projesi Avrasya bölgesini ve bilhassa Türkiye'yi coğrafi anlamda küresel ticaretin en önemli odak noktalarından birisi haline getiriyor. Dolayısıyla 2020 yılına doğru küresel hacmi 1 trilyon dolara yaklaşan e-ticaret sektöründe İstanbul Yeni Havalimanı'nın sunduğu lojistik imkanlarla büyük bir konuma sahip olacak. Aynı şekilde demiryolu taşımacılığında da önemli gelişmelere şahitlik ediyoruz. Asya Pasifik'ten Atlantik'e Bakü-Tiflis-Kars hattı ile birlikte tarihi İpek Yolu tekrar hayata dönüyor. Geçtiğimiz günlerde Çin'den çıkan ilk yük treni Çang'ın iki kıtayı birbirine bağlayan Marmaray'dan geçerek Avrupa'ya doğru yoluna devam etmesi demiryolu yük taşımacılığında da tarihi bir dönüm noktası oldu. Bölge devletlerinin bu ulaşım ağını enerji, hizmetler ve mal ticareti anlamında da güçlendirerek büyük atılımlar yapabilmemiz için tüm altyapı hazırlanıyor. Başta TANAP ve Türk akımı projeleri olmak üzere doğalgaz ve petrol boru hatlarımızın da Asya'dan Avrupa'ya açılan yeni bir küresel enerji hattı oluşturmuş durumdayız. Akdeniz'de, Orta Doğu'da ve Kafkasya bölgelerinde enerji alanında atılan adımlar bölgemizin enerji koridoru olması anlamında da birçok önemli fırsatı beraberinde getiriyor. Enerji ve lojistik sağlayan imkanlar diğer sektörlere de yatırım olarak geri dönüyor. Savunma ve teknolojide gerçekleştirdiğimiz milli teknoloji hamlelerinde bunu görüyoruz. Eğitim, sağlık, eğlence ve turizm olmak üzere hizmet sektöründeki ihracat gücümüzün artarak 50 milyar doları aşmasında da bu olumlu gelişmeyi görüyoruz. Bu olumlu gelişmelerin daha ileriye taşınması ve refahın tüm bölgeye yayılması için de varımızı yoğumuzu ortaya koyarak çalışmaya devam ediyoruz. Değerli misafirler, 2018 yılı itibariyle dünyanın en fazla turist çeken 6. ülkesi konumundayız. Yıllık ortalama 550 bin yabancı hasta ülkemizi sağlık imkanlarından faydalanmak adına ziyaret ederken 182 ülkeden 100 binin üzerindeki yabancı öğrenci ise üniversitelerimizde eğitim görüyor. Dizi ve film ihracatında Amerika Birleşik Devletleri'nden sonra ikinci sıraya yükselmiş durumdayız. Artık büyümede, üretimde, ihracatta yakaladığımız başarıyı hizmetlerde de sürdürüyoruz. Dünyadaki 223 ülke ve bölgeye ihracat gerçekleştiriyoruz. 185 ülke ve bölgeye otomotiv ürünleri, 156 ülkeye savunma ve havacılık ürünleri, 200 ülkeye de hazır giyim ürünleri ihraç ediyoruz. Bu başarıların devamında da yatırımlar geliyor. Ülkemizde 2000 yılından günümüze kadar 160 milyar dolarlık doğrudan yabancı yatırımcı girişi oldu. Bu başarıda bugün başlayan Boğaziçi Zirvesi gibi toplantıların katkısı da eminim ki göz önüne alınmalıdır. Sadece Boğaziçi Zirvesi kapsamında bugüne kadar 2,2 milyar dolarlık anlaşma imzalandığını biliyoruz. Bu rakamlar bir araya geldiğimiz zaman bir bölge için ne kadar faydalı işler yapabildiğimizi de açıkça ortaya koyuyor. Her zaman vurgulayarak söylüyoruz, hedefimiz dış ticaret fazlası veren Türkiye. Bu hedef için çalışıyor, bölgesel ekonomik bağımsızlığımızın en önemli odak noktasına bu hedefi koyuyoruz. Saygıdeğer misafirler, bizler çalışmayı ve dayanışma öğretisinin merkezine koyan Mevlana'nın yaşadığı toprakların çocuklarıyız. Bir ve beraber olmayı, coğrafyamızın karşı karşıya kaldığı zorluklara boyun eğmemeyi ve birlikteliğimize sarılarak dik durmayı sürdürmeliyiz. Atatürk'ün de söylemiş olduğu gibi büyük işler, önemli atılımlar ancak birlikte çalışma ile elde edilebilir. Bizler bu bilinçle hareket ederek dostlarımızla olan işbirliğimizi, karşılıklı ticareti kazan kazan çerçevesinde daha da geliştirmeyi arzulamalı, hedeflerimize omuz omuza yürümeliyiz. İnanıyorum ki bu bilincimiz, kucaklayıcı yaklaşımımız ve çalışkanlığımız bizleri her zaman daha ileriye, üstlendiğimiz sorumlulukların da ötesine taşıyacaktır. Sözlerimi burada son verirken bu organizasyonda emeği geçen Uluslararası İşbirliği Platformu yöneticilerine ve konuklarımıza teşekkür ediyor. Hepinize saygılar sunuyorum.
Now I would like to invite the former Prime Minister of Spain, Rodríguez Zapatero, for his speech.
Muy buenos días. Deseo en primer lugar expresar mi gratitud por la invitación a participar en este foro, en el foro que tiene ya 10 años, una gran tradición. Mi felicitación y espero que siga cumpliendo ese rol, ese papel de facilitar el debate, el diálogo, la conversación tan necesario en este momento. Saben que España es un país con vocación mediterránea, saben que España es un país con vocación multilateral, saben que España es un país con vocación de cooperación y que España tiene una muy buena relación con Turquía. Les diré que en mi etapa de presidente de gobierno, de 2004 a 2011, Turquía fue uno de los países con los que cuajé una mejor relación. Juntos, el presidente Erdogan y yo mismo concebimos, propusimos y logramos que Naciones Unidas hiciera suya la propuesta de la Alianza de Civilizaciones para facilitar el diálogo, la cooperación entre culturas, religiones y civilizaciones. Aquello fue poco después de la guerra de Irak, de la muy desafortunada guerra de Irak, que abrió un escenario de confrontación y de inestabilidad en el Medio Oriente, que aún persiste y ha tenido su prolongación trágicamente en países como Siria, como Libia, como tantos otros. Y debemos ser muy conscientes de que no habrá un orden de seguridad internacional si no hay una resolución a los graves conflictos del Medio Oriente y una estabilidad en Medio Oriente. No por repetirlo es menos necesario, pero la solución al conflicto palestino sigue siendo la máxima urgencia para la seguridad internacional. Mientras no haya un Estado palestino y una paz razonable entre Israel y Palestina, no tendremos posibilidades de un horizonte de estabilidad y de paz en Oriente Medio. De ahí que valoremos como muy importante la posición de Turquía un interlocutor activo y poderoso para Oriente Medio, como se ha visto en la crisis de los refugiados y como sin duda habrá que reconstruir en un futuro inmediato. Si hoy tenemos más dificultades para la seguridad, para la estabilidad internacional, sin duda alguna es porque el espíritu del multilateralismo, la vocación política multilateral, la visión global y de cooperación ha perdido fuerza, ha perdido energía en los últimos años, especialmente en la última década. Y sin embargo, debemos asumir, explicar que la globalización es para siempre. La globalización es para siempre. Que el desarrollo tecnológico, la innovación, el saltar fronteras, gracias a la tecnología, a los medios de transporte, a la comunicación, es ya un destino inevitable y afortunadamente una gran palanca de progreso para el mundo. Cuando vivimos la era de mayor conectividad, de mayor capacidad de comunicación, cuando vivimos el tiempo de mayor desarrollo tecnológico que haya conocido la historia, observamos una reacción nacionalista, una reacción anti-multilateralismo, una reacción fundamentalista que retrasa, que frena, que impide la resolución de grandes problemas. Porque el destino de cada país hoy es el destino del mundo. El destino de cada nación es el destino y el futuro de los temas globales decisivos, que son, en primer lugar, sin duda alguna, la voluntad de paz, la determinación por la paz, el renovar el compromiso de la Carta de San Francisco de Naciones Unidas. Y antes que nada, en primer lugar, el compromiso de mantener el progresivo desarme nuclear y evitar los riesgos inherentes a las últimas tendencias de las grandes potencias. En segundo lugar, el mundo, fruto de la globalización, está conociendo un reequilibrio entre el este y el oeste, entre Oriente y Occidente, entre Asia y Europa y Estados Unidos. Lo lidera China. China es la mayor transformación en los últimos 40 años que ha conocido la historia. Es ya un líder y muy probablemente sea el país líder mundial. Y con él, países asiáticos, de Oriente, emergentes. Hay un reequilibrio de la riqueza. Las cifras son apabullantes. Occidente debe entenderlo. Europa y Estados Unidos, especialmente Estados Unidos, debe entender que vamos a un mundo multipolar, que ya no existe el mundo en el que se dicta una única política, una única visión. Esto va a llevar un proceso de adaptación y ojalá ese proceso de adaptación no sea a través de una confrontación como otras tantas veces en la historia, donde era habitual que a la caída de un imperio y la emergencia de otro se produjera una guerra. Esperemos, deseamos, confiamos que el avance de civilización, que Naciones Unidas, que la experiencia de las dos guerras mundiales haga que este reacomodo, que esta realineación entre Estados Unidos y China, entre Oriente y Occidente, entre Asia y Europa y Estados Unidos, sea a través de un proceso, sí, en el que habrá tensiones, pero en el que debe haber diálogo, acuerdos y definición de un orden nuevo multilateral que está por escribir. Tenemos alguna esperanza. El G20 ha sido un paso positivo, es un paso positivo, pero aún muy incipiente, muy prematuro. Naciones Unidas, los Objetivos del Desarrollo Sostenible, el primer programa mundial en contra de la pobreza, un compromiso global. La concertación frente al cambio climático. Madrid en los próximos días va a ser la sede de la cumbre en la lucha contra el cambio climático. Sin duda alguna, un desafío global, el mejor ejemplo para comprender que no hay ni bandera, ni una nación, por muchos portaaviones que tenga o por muchos armamentos militares, que pueda por sí mismo, en solitario, luchar contra los grandes desafíos, como es el desafío del cambio climático. O las políticas que tienen que ver con la desigualdad. Si hoy hay fuertes movimientos de protesta en el mundo, reaparición de ideologías radicales, fundamentalistas, que cuestionan valores democráticos, valores de derechos fundamentales, es en gran medida por las desigualdades sociales. No puede ser que el progreso de la humanidad, que el progreso científico y tecnológico, que nos va a llevar a grandes logros, como vencer el cáncer, como prolongar la vida, como mejorar la salud, no sea ante todo un progreso que dé como resultado la corrección de desigualdades sociales. Antes o después, el mundo, la comunidad política internacional, la comunidad, aquello que nos une como humanidad, debe de proceder a la abolición de la pobreza y a la limitación de la riqueza. Va a ser una exigencia de los pueblos y de las sociedades. Si queremos preservar estabilidad, paz, democracia, derechos humanos y fundamentalmente avanzar en las nuevas necesidades como la igualdad de género, como los derechos de las mujeres, que deben comprender un capítulo esencial en cualquier programa de acción global. Turquía es una gran potencia. Turquía tiene capacidad de diálogo con Oriente y Occidente. Es una gran potencia emergente. Siempre deseé que Turquía estuviera en la Unión Europea. Sería la mejor contribución a la estabilidad y a la paz. Sería rehacer una Europa fuerte, abierta, segura de sí misma, culturalmente diversa y con gran potencial de futuro. Sé que el proceso ha sido un proceso difícil, lleno de insatisfacciones, pero quiero animar a la comunidad turca, a los empresarios, a los líderes de opinión, a que mantengan su vocación europeísta, su apuesta por Europa, para reafirmar los valores de apertura, de solidaridad y de cooperación. En definitiva, solo habrá un nuevo orden internacional, solo habrá orden, estabilidad y paz si el multilateralismo, la cooperación, el nacimiento de nuevas instituciones internacionales más fuertes y más sólidas se impone en este tiempo histórico. Solo garantizaremos la paz y la estabilidad, veremos más democracias nacer o renacer si las desigualdades sociales son superadas, si la pobreza es extinguida y si la riqueza excesiva es limitada. Esto es lo que late, lo que quieren la mayoría de los pueblos del mundo. Y desde luego nuestro compromiso y el compromiso de España es hacerlo en colaboración con Turquía, con todos los países del área, para defender esa visión abierta al mundo, de cooperación y de solidaridad. Porque el destino es común, porque no hay diferencias de raza, de lengua, de historia, de geografía, de poder, de riqueza, que puedan anteponerse a la voluntad común de constituir una sociedad global, una comunidad internacional de hombres y mujeres libres e iguales. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Zapatero, for your inspirational speech. Mr. Prime Minister will be leaving early, so may I kindly invite founder of International Platform, Cengiz Özgencil, to present a plaque of honor to our distinguished speaker.
Sayın Başbakan erken ayrılacak. Çünkü 12'den sonra uçağı var. Kendilerine uyup kurulu olarak teşekkür ediyoruz.
Dear guests, now I would like to invite the Minister in charge of National Policies, Nicaragua, Dr. Paul Herbert Oquist Kelley, for his speech.
Good morning. There are times in history when it's very obvious that a period of historical dimensions of transformation is already underway. And one of the indicators of this is when the street boils over in multiple countries for multiple reasons, but nearly simultaneously. That was the case of 1848, 1968, of 1989, and our 2019, where the street has boiled over in the Americas, in the Middle East, in Asia. The cases are different, but definitely there's some phenomenon that is a common denominator, or nearly so, in most of them. And I would posit that one of them is inequality. The inequality that leads to exclusion. Policymakers have to be very cognizant of the subsistence line, of people who are struggling to make ends meet every month, put food on the table, educate their kids, have money for medical needs and other basic expenses. Because people who are struggling to get by, a simple measure like raising the subway fare or raising the gasoline price can push them below that. They're already struggling, but they know now that they're going to have to give up something, cut down on food. They were eating meat twice a week, maybe no more meat. And problems with the kids' schooling and with health and other very basic issues. This can help explain the intensity of the reactions to very minor types of measures like raising the subway fare or raising the gasoline price in different countries. The middle classes can also be affected. They can lose their status as middle class. All of the symbols of being middle class can be lost. And this has grave political consequences. Middle classes that are descending tend to go to the far right. That has been historically the case. I think that if we look at inequality, there's been a realization by economists and politicians that the market economy gets stuck up when it over-concentrates. Markets concentrate. Markets concentrate wealth. Markets concentrate income. And state action is needed to redistribute, to redress this periodically so that the concentration doesn't reach a breaking point, which I think it has in the world in 2019. Countries have reacted to this historically much better than our generation has. After the Long Depression in 1893 in the United States, the anti-monopoly laws were passed. Think of the political significance of taking on the most powerful and richest men in the United States in the 19th century. Rockefeller with the oil monopoly, Carnegie with the steel monopoly, Harriman with the railway monopoly, all at once. And to take them on and pass the Sherman Antitrust Act and break up the monopolies, to redistribute, to unstuck the economy, to get it unstuck from having this over-concentration. After the financial crisis of 1907, J.P. Morgan, who had to reach into his very deep pockets to bail out several Wall Street banks, decided that he didn't like that and never wanted to do it again. So he took his friends from Wall Street to Jekyll Island off the coast of Georgia, and they made the design of the Federal Reserve Bank and the Federal Reserve System, which came into effect several years later, but it was according to that design. But more interesting yet is that the progressive income tax was passed as a result of that period of ferment. Huge redistribution to unstuck the economy, to unstick it. Then, after the Great Depression of 1929, the United States created, and many other countries followed, with Social Security, another massive redistribution. Payroll tax paid in part by the employer, in part by the employees, redistributing a huge mass of funds and creating safety nets for retirement, for disability, and other things in other countries. Most notably, for example, in Singapore, with the Provident Fund, where almost all of the needs of people are met, either through payments or loans. Then we had our financial crisis, 2007, 2008, September 2008, the bankruptcy of Lehman Brothers. The world banking system enters into crisis. After that crisis, we've seen the Dodd-Frank law in the United States and Basel III by the Bank of International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland. Do they address inequality? No. What they address was J.P. Morgan's dilemma, that the governments no longer want to bail out the banks either. So these laws and this system of Basel III are all designed to keep the banking system healthy, identify problems early, and to preclude further bailouts by the taxpayers. And I think that this has had a huge cost because the indicators of inequality now are quite alarming. The Oxfam with 1% of the population holding more wealth than the rest of the world, and the 8 richest people on the list holding assets that are equivalent to the income of half the world. So we're in a period of great inequality in which practically nothing has been done to address this. As a matter of fact, the neoliberal ideology that fuels the new unilateralism that is a real threat to multilateralism, as has been discussed this morning by previous speakers, puts this into crisis mode. And we're seeing that bubble over on the street in country after country. The period that's ending has been characterized as the United States innovates, China replicates, and Europe regulates. The new period that's coming in sees a China that's innovating and is in direct competition with the United States on 5G and artificial intelligence, cutting-edge technologies that will define technologically and economically, to a large extent, the new period. But the United States, which doesn't condone redistribution because that is labeled as socialism, which it combats internationally and internal politics as well. So the redistributive measures aren't to be seen. So we're getting into a period now where the U.S. doesn't seem to believe in capitalism either, because instead of competing with the Chinese on 5G and artificial intelligence, it takes measures to try to exclude them from the marketplace, which won't work. But those are the measures that are being undertaken. So we're seeing really a major assault now of unilateralism on multilateralism. And this is very grave for the vast majority of us who come from small countries. And the definition of small is quite variable. I was at a conference in Berlin earlier in the year on technology where all the German high command was there, and the Latin American countries were represented because the day before there was a conference about Germany and Latin America with the chancellor. And the professor who started the meeting was by saying, "It's a great pleasure to be here this morning addressing small countries and countries that don't realize yet that they are small." He posited that the race is now between Silicon Valley and China, and everyone else is basically a spectator or a marginal player in that race. The attack of unilateralism on multilateralism takes many forms. Bilateral trade agreements rather than using the World Trade Organization and multilateral trade, the withdrawing from the multilateral climate change agreement, the withdrawal of the Iran nuclear agreement, the withdrawal from the intermediate missile agreement. So international agreements are not what they used to be. Even treaties are not what they used to be in this unilateral world. And we also see unilateral coercive actions that are illegal because the only sanctions that are legal are those approved by the United Nations Security Council. Yet the United States and Europe have taken it upon themselves to create a sanctions regime that they themselves apply, which are patently illegal. Worse yet, they claim in some cases, the US cases, extraterritoriality. And there's even a criminalization of third parties that don't accept the illegal sanctions within quotation marks because they're not legal. So we have a world in which huge amounts of assets can be confiscated by administrative edict without judicial recourse. That sounds pretty bad, but lives can be taken also by administrative edict without judicial recourse. So for the small countries, and that is a growing list of countries that don't know yet that they are small, The only real defense that we have are not our armies, but the multilateral regime, a rule-based multilateral regime that creates a new international order in the face of the disorder that unilateralism is sowing. Thank you very much.
Now I would like to invite Minister of Foreign Affairs, Liberia, Gbehzohngar Milton Findley.
Officials and ministers of the Turkish government, I would like to extend our thanks and appreciation to you and the people of Turkey for hosting us and hosting this summit and the hospitality extended to us thus far. I bring you also greetings from His Excellency Dr. George Weah, President of the Republic of Liberia. This summit is an important summit for global peace, stability, and a platform that brings together politicians, businessmen, entrepreneurs from various countries in the Middle East and the world. The objective in our mind as Africans is to discuss vision, ideas, experience that would lead to the future relationship of international and regional cooperation. It is important that these issues contribute and promote the importance of lives across the world. Turkey plays a major role as a link between Europe and Asia, but its role globally must be taken in the right perspective as an economic player for development in other regions of the world. As we deliberate today and tomorrow, we know that the future of the world is at stake. We believe that this summit will address the growing issue of economic stability, economic growth, and development for all people of the world. I will close now and bring you some thoughts. People of the world are one. The cause are one. The problems are one. And solutions to those problems depend on all of us. I thank you.
Dear guests, now I would like to invite the Secretary General of the Arab Thought Forum, Dr. Mohammed Abu-Hammour.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I'd like to speak in Arabic. أصحاب الدولة والمعالي والسعادة، السيدات والسادة الحضور الكرام، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أحييكم جميعاً، ويشرفني أن أنوب عن صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير الحسن بن طلال المعظم رئيس منتدى الفكر العربي في المشاركة بهذا الحدث الكبير مع نخب مميزة من قادة الفكر وأهل الخبرة والرأي. كما يشرفني إلقاء هذه الكلمة بالنيابة عن سموه، وأغتنم مناسبة انعقاد قمة البسفور العاشرة لأحيي الجمهورية التركية وأتقدم بجزيل الشكر والتقدير للقائمين على تنظيم القمة لقاء جهودهم الطيبة وحسن التنظيم والاستقبال. ويسعدني أيضاً أن أنقل إليكم تحيات سموه وتمنياته لكم ولهذه القمة بالتوفيق والنجاح في مواصلة تحقيق أهدافها النبيلة من أجل تمتين الروابط والمشتركات الإنسانية التي تجمعنا لتعزيز الاستقرار والإسهام في بناء السلم والتعاون الدوليين، انطلاقاً من إدراكنا جميعاً للعمق الاستراتيجي الذي يمثله إقليمنا بكل مكوناته. الأخوات والإخوة الأفاضل، إن تطلعنا للتنمية الموجهة نحو الإنسان ينطلق من مبدأ تعزيز كرامة هذا الإنسان وتمكينه ليكون قادراً على المشاركة في صنع المستقبل، وإن دعوتنا إلى المبادرة بتحرك ضميري وجداني فكري من داخل هذه المنطقة ينبغي أن يستند إلى قوة التنوع فيها وإمكانات التكامل والتناسج والتفاعل التي يمكن أن تتيحها هذه الإمكانات، والتي هي في الأصل منبثقة من الخبرة التاريخية الحضارية المشتركة. من هنا نجد أن ميزان الحقائق في تحقيق الاستقرار المنشود والتكامل الطبيعي للتنوع سيرجح حكماً الأمن الأساسي في مقابل ما أصاب أجزاء من منطقتنا من حالات الاضطراب والنزاعات المسلحة والعنف خلال العقود الماضية، والتي أنتجت في المحصلة ارتهاناً للأمن الظرفي تعمق بدوره وسط مآس من التهجير والاقتلاع وتفكك دول ومجتمعات. إننا حينما نتحدث عن استقرار إقليمي لا غالب فيه ولا مغلوب، فإن حديثنا ينصب بالضرورة على الحاجة إلى رأس مال بشري يحقق العلاقة التكاملية التنموية في إطار من الكرامة الإنسانية والتعاون بين شعوب المشرق نفسها ومع العالم، ويجعل الاستدامة بمنظار أنسنة الواقع التنموي ومعطياته مقياساً لبناء الثروة البشرية. وفي مناخ من حزم المشروعات القطاعية المستندة إلى تطوير التعليم والتدريب والمواطنة الحاضنة للتنوع والأمن الديمقراطي الإنساني وإجراءات بناء الثقة بين الناس فيما بينهم وبين مؤسسات الحكم والتشاركية في مواجهة تحديات الفقر والبطالة والجوع، والمسير الواضح نحو اقتصاد إنتاجي ومعرفي وفق ضوابط استراتيجية لدعم الإبداع والابتكار والشراكة بين الحكومات والقطاع الخاص وتشجيع الاستثمارات البينية في الإقليم ومع المحيط العالمي. وفي هذا السياق لا بد من تلبية استحقاقات التنمية بحفز الشباب للقيام بدور أساسي في مجتمعاتهم من خلال زرع روح الثقة والمواطنة الفاعلة وتطوير لغة الحوار المعرفي البياني فيما بينهم للتعامل مع التحديات التي تهدد تماسك البنى الاجتماعية والاقتصادية والسياسية والثقافية وتؤدي إلى الانقسام بين المجتمعات والثقافات. السيدات والسادة، إن استثمار رأس المال البشري هو ما يشكل القيمة المضافة للتنمية، من حيث أنها قيمة إنسانية ولا بديل عن الكرامة الإنسانية أساساً لاستراتيجيات التنمية وتوفير الأمن والأمان لتحقيقها عملياً أمام التحديات التي تندرج ضمن حزم ثلاث من التأثيرات، هي كون الإنسان ضد أخيه الإنسان، والإنسان ضد عوامل الطبيعة من تصحر وجفاف واقتلاع للأشجار، ثم الكوارث التي يصنعها الإنسان نفسه أو يتسبب فيها. وتدعونا أهداف التنمية المستدامة 17 لعام 2030 التي كانت يوماً ما في مطلع ثمانينات القرن الماضي ضمن توجهات المناداة بنظام إنساني عالمي جديد إلى أسلوب عمل متداخل مندمج يأخذ بالحسبان رأس المال المجتمعي وكذلك القدرة التحملية للبيئة والموارد والاقتصاد، والنظرة فوق القطرية، مما يرتب علينا مسؤوليات مشتركة في قطاعات مثل الطاقة والمياه والبيئة، إذ لا توجد دولة تستطيع العيش مائياً أو بيئياً وحدها. واعتبرت الخطة أن العلوم والتكنولوجيا والابتكار تشكل أداة حاسمة لبناء الشراكات ومعالجة معظم التحديات التنموية. الأخوات والإخوة، إن مسؤوليتنا الأخلاقية الإنسانية ترتب علينا التزامات بجهود موصولة متكاتفة لترسخ أسس إعادة السلم وترسيخ استقرارنا الإقليمي بشجاعة وموضوعية، وإقامة المعمار المشرقي على قيم العدالة والتسامح والعيش المشترك وحق الاختلاف والتنوع. وهذا الالتزام يدعونا إلى التفكير بمأسسة العمل التكاملي التنموي الثقافي الحضاري، والعمل على تطوير سياسات قائمة على احترام الثقافة وتفعيل أطر دستورية وقانونية للتضامن والحيلولة دون استئثار النزعات المتطرفة والتقسيمية بالمساحات بيننا واختطاف الفرص من بين أيدينا. وفي النهاية أود أن أؤكد بأن الرؤية التوافقية بكل ما تعنيه من مصالح متبادلة وشراكات تخدم التعاون والتبادل على مختلف الأصعدة وتحقق التقدم للمجموع الإقليمي ومجتمعاته هي الرؤية ذات الخطاب الأخلاقي الجديد في تأكيد قيم المواطنة الفاعلة والعمل والإنتاج والابتكار الاجتماعي وحرية البحث والتفكير ونهج الحوار المعرفي البياني للتقارب والتفاهم وحل الخلافات وعدالة توزيع ثمار التنمية. أشكركم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Now I would like to invite the former President of Colombia, Andrés Pastrana, for his speech.
Good morning to everybody. First of all, I want to thank ICP for inviting me to speak in this Bosphorus Summit about the relations between Asia and Latin America in the field of economy and global governance. It is powerful, striking that at the dawn of the 21st century, it has been said on either side of the Pacific Ocean that this is called to be, on one hand, the century of Asia, and on the other, the century of Latin America. In other words, the century in which two extremes, the Far East and the Far West, have the opportunity and vocation to leave the relative peripheral place that they have had during the previous centuries, at least on a global scale, to pass to have a more prominent place. The backdrop of this opportunity is made up by multiple elements. In the first place, globalization and the set of transformations that it has brought within the political and economic scenery. Second, the geopolitical changes operated since the end of the Cold War, which have given space to a multipolar or even apolar world, according to some studies of international policy. And finally, the evolutions that the nations have experienced on both sides of the Pacific, which allows them to face the challenges and take advantage of the opportunities in different ways. It's under these circumstances that an approximation between these two extremes has become real. This approach is not unpublished. Currently, it seems much more intense and dynamic, and so more promissory both in the bilateral relationship country to country and the bi-regional understanding among the countries, as it is shown by the Pacific Alliance case, which has the explicit purpose of serving as a platform for a major blending of its members in the Pacific Rim, which naturally happens by a solid interaction with old and new Asian partners and friends. The following are some reflections on the potential and perspectives of the relationship between Asia and Latin America in two fundamental areas in which there is already a substrate that must be exploited: the economic field and the political field of the international governance. It has been during the last 2 decades that the relations between Asia and Latin America have acquired a special dynamism, especially in the economic field. It cannot be denied that the performance of the Latin American economies of these years has been directly related to the economic growth and the growing participation in international trade and investment of China, India, and other Asian countries. This is reflected not only in the commercial exchange, but also in the volume of investments. We must continue to advance and strengthen the economic relationship. Latin America cannot retrace the path taken in its industrialization and in increasing its capacity to generate products with added value, especially with greater technological content. To avoid this, the relationship with Asia, which partially explains the trend registered in the regard during the last years, is fundamental. In the manner of a paradox, it is one of the causes of the problem and source of potential solutions. Latin America could be more than the pantry of Asia, and Asia can be much more than the major buyer of primary goods in Latin America. The interactive transformation of the economic relationship between both regions within the framework of the Fourth Industrial Revolution opens a window of opportunities for diversification, innovation, and partnership that will be extremely negligent not to take advantage of, especially now that the global economic conditions have changed. It is imperative to maintain the ground gain in the Trans-Pacific economic relationship while adapting to the new circumstances. To this end, it is crucial to incorporate to the interregional economic equation the promotion and investment in activities that allow increasing the context of technology and knowledge of exports, having a more diversified offer, and improving the infrastructure required for foreign trade, especially by Latin American market side. But it is also necessary to make flexible rules that hinder that same trade, especially on the side of Asian markets. Something that requires not only individual efforts, but above all, synergies and strategic alliances. Thus, we will profit of the comparative advantage that Latin America has in the production of natural resources, intense goods, with the incorporation of knowledge and sophistication of products in the insertion of Latin American companies in Asian value chains in manufacturing. And we will also take advantage of the comparative advantages of Asia in the terms of availability of greater capital, advanced technology, accumulate experience in infrastructure development, among others. The result will be an economic and commercial relationship with a potential of incalculable reciprocal benefits. But in addition to the economic relationship, the approach between Asia and Latin America can also occur in many other sectors. It is worth highlighting in that sense that the potential for a political relationship that respects the enormous political diversity existing on both sides of the Pacific Ocean and that takes into account a specific national interest in the face of specific issues on the international agenda to when contributing to the improvement of an international governance system based on multilateralism, without which it is virtually impossible to face the challenges posed by the global risk and take advantage of convergence scenarios, differentiated capacities, and the construction of a regulatory consensus. Although some warn that current times are not, for different reasons, the most favorable for multilateralism, this is clearly more necessary than ever. Being the majority of nations in Asia and Latin America aware of that, each on its Pacific shore, continue to invest significant political and economic resources in their commitment not only to regional multilateralism, but to the sustainability of international institutions. It is essential to keep that bet and even more, coordinate and synchronize it. A legit, effective, and efficient multilateralism is essential to address problems that affect both regions equally and that compromises their prospect for stability, for growth and development, which include the following: increase of inequality in income, wealth, and opportunity within countries; weakness in the financial globalization without restrictions in the global financial situation; an inappropriate multilateral trade regime to manage the new challenges arising from rapid technological advances, as well as the failure of some states to comply with their principles, norms, and rules, and with dispute resolution mechanism; a greater propensity to the mobility of capital in relation to the work and the imbalances that may result from it; climate change triggered by increased environmental stress and increased emissions and the consequent vulnerability that puts millions of people at risk in both regions; the fulfillment of the Sustainable Development Goals, for which the coordination of efforts, the exchange of information and experiences, and cooperation is vital; the management of human mobility and its implications, and changing conditions of international security, including competition between major powers, the reborn risk of nuclear proliferation, and cybersecurity. The convergence in this support will not only defend the existing multilateralism of the challenges that it currently supports, but also promote its adaptation and reform. The added political and economic weight of both regions make them a set of decisive weight in this process, capable of curbing anti-multilateral initiatives and promoting the improvement of the governance. The bi-region made by the Far East and the Far West has the potential to perform as a key element on the establishment of global rules, taking the initiative to ensure an open and operational economic system, participating and demanding the construction of a safer and resilient world, and assuming a growing responsibility in building solutions to global problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pastrana. Dear guests, before we move on, I would like to invite the founder of International Cooperation Platform, Mr. Cengiz Özgencil, once again, in order to read the telegram sent by the President of the Republic of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdoğan.
Değerli konuşmacılar, sayın misafirler, Sayın Cumhurbaşkanımızın şu anda İSEDAK toplantısında vereceği özel resepsiyondan dolayı belki 2 gün sonra katılabileceğini ama şu anda katılmasının zor olduğunu belirten bir telgraf aldım. Sizinle paylaşmak istiyorum. Şahsıma gelen telgraf. Türkiye'nin dinamik ve sürekli büyüyen ekonomisiyle dünya pazarındaki yerinin gözler önüne serilmesine, yatırım olanaklarının anlatılmasına imkan verecek olan zirvenin ülkemizin tanıtımı açısından da önemli rol oynayacağına inanıyorum. İnsan odaklı kalkınma ana temasıyla düzenlenen yeni dünya düzeninde ülkemizin etkinliğinin de ele alınacağı zirve, konunun uzmanları ve sektör temsilcilerini bir araya getirerek ekonomiye değerli katkılar sağlayacaktır. 10. Boğaziçi Zirvesi'nin verimli geçmesini temenni ediyor. Başta Uluslararası İşbirliği Platformu olmak üzere organizasyonun düzenlenmesinde emeği geçenleri tebrik ediyor. Kıymetli misafirlerimizi en kalbi duygularımla selamlıyorum. Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, Türkiye Cumhuriyeti Cumhurbaşkanı.
Now I would like to invite the Prime Minister of Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, Ersin Tatar, for his speech.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased and honored to be with you today at this very important summit. I would like to congratulate all those who have contributed to the organization of this event. Very important guests, very important speeches. And where we are today, Istanbul, at the crossroads of, in a way, East and West, at the crossroads of cultures, religions, and a place where it could be a role model for human dignity, for human generation and human generation for the future. Turkey is a country where we do see sacrifices. After the Syrian crisis, as you know, we have had a major refugee problem in the world, a major one. And Turkey is really an example where millions of Syrians have been hosted in Turkey. Some estimates are the cost of this hosting to Turkey in the magnitude of $40 billion. In the magnitude of $40 billion. Millions of human beings, refugees, children, young, aged, and I visited those sites near the borders where they've established camps for the Syrian refugees. Therefore, when we are talking about towards a new world order or a global order, we are talking about distribution of global wealth. We are talking about fairness. We are talking about human dignity. We are talking about treating each other better than we should. And as the leaders before me have stated, we are seeing a lot of selfishness in the world, in the sense that for their own individual well-being, they are even trying to, after all these years, after Bretton Woods, after so many international negotiations, we are talking about now protectionism. I was a student at Cambridge University maybe 40 years ago when I was a young man. And then in the economics books, I was reading Keynes, Milton Friedman, other economists. And the most important statement for world wealth, for human beings to live in a better and fairer society, was for protectionism to be abolished, for free trade, for humanity, for wealth creation, so that resources can be shared more equally. Now, after all those years, we are now near 2020, we are talking about protectionism. Why? Because some well-established, richer societies, they want more and more. Whereas the message should be, how do we distribute the growing resources of the world with technology, with digitalization, with internet, and with other sophisticated advancements in our society like artificial intelligence, the creation of wealth, productivity, but at the end of the day, how we distribute these resources more fairly so that the poor can also find jobs, the poor can also survive in this difficult world. Therefore, I am looking at it from a different angle. If we are going to have peace and stability and sustainability, we should be more understanding, we should be more caring, and we should be more comforting to each other. Therefore, the big leaders, the big countries, the more powerful should be more understanding, and the powerful should lead the world to a fairer society. I can dwell on many other issues like progressive taxation, other measures for humanity, because the core message of this conference towards a new world order with emphasis on humanity. As the world is getting to a new destination, how do we organize ourselves so that 8.5 billion world population in a way share these resources more equitably? We are talking about climate change and what we could do to avoid the catastrophe that might face our world in maybe in 100 years' time. But if we don't take the real measures, if we don't make some sacrifices, and these sacrifices are obviously to be made by the richer, by the more prosperous, in 100 years' time, we will not be able to imagine the catastrophe that we all will be facing. Therefore, the message from this conference should be the leaders, the rich, the powerful should be more sacrificing, should be more understanding, and should be less selfish for human beings of the world, of the global order. I come from North Cyprus, as there are some illustrations, I believe, on the screen. As you know, Cyprus is split into two. The Turks live in the north, the Greeks live in the south, because from international agreements, we have two peoples, the Greeks and the Turks. And we believe that the resources of Cyprus should be equitably split between the two countries. However, what we now see in this new world order is that because for historical and political reasons, because the South Cyprus is recognized by the international community, despite the ongoing agreements, and despite Turkey's efforts to establish an equilibrium in the Eastern Mediterranean for the allocation of really some new resources of petrol, gas, hydrocarbon, as you all would know, there are some really big resources around the Mediterranean. We now are in a position where these resources are to be exploited by the Greek Cypriots and with their counterparts of other countries, without regard to the Turkish Cypriots' rights. Therefore, what we Turkish Cypriots have been saying with Turkey is basically we should have a committee to organize all these activities together. However, our neighbors, with the backing of some powerful other states, have been denying, have been refusing our efforts to fairly distribute these resources. Therefore, in the Eastern Mediterranean, with Turkish Cypriots, we are exploiting our rights because we have been stating to the international community that we have in these resources as equal rights as Greek Cypriots. This is our right. Therefore, in the new world order, for peace and stability in the Eastern Mediterranean, we should have these facts to be recognized, these facts to be respected. Otherwise, it might lead to instability. Otherwise, it might lead to disequilibrium. Therefore, this is the message from North Cyprus. This is the message from the Eastern Mediterranean. If we are to have, as I've been saying in my speech, fairness, stability, and all the other attributes of humanity for fairness, and other attributes of humanity for more fairer allocation of resources, these facts should be respected, these facts should be recognized. Thank you very much for listening to me. It's been a great morning. We have had some good speeches, and I hope that this important summit in the Bosphorus, in one of the most beautiful places of the world, Istanbul, will lead to some ideas to be generated so that humanity benefits, so that our countries benefit for a fairer, for a safer, for a more sustainable world order. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you very much for all the efforts in organizing this conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our honorary speakers for their thought-provoking insights. May I kindly now invite honorary board members of International Cooperation Platform, Rona Yırcalı and Erşat Ürmüzlü, to present a plaque of honor to our distinguished speakers. Mr. Talal Ghazaleh. Mr. İsmail Gülle. Mr. Gbehzohngar Milton Findley, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Liberia. Dr. Mohammed Abu-Hammour, Secretary General of the Arab Thought Forum, Jordan. Mr. Rodriguez Zapatero, former Prime Minister of Spain. Okay. Mr. Andres Pastrana, former President of Colombia. Mr. Dr. Paul Herbert Oquist Kelley, Minister in charge of National Policies, Nicaragua. could we ask all our speakers to stand up for a group picture? To our esteemed speakers for their inspirational speeches.